Alright, so this is going to be a 5100 plus, give or take, update to the Kymco Like 150. This is the ABS non-Nodo version. And I don't have a whole lot to really add. I've been riding this 5 or 6 days a week, give or take 20-25 miles one way. And just a couple of things that I have noted about it as an owner, and something that I think I'd like to share with anyone considering it. I think my number one day-to-day complaint is actually with the fuel lid. The fuel lid itself is a bit flimsy, and the other thing is that if I've got large size glove hands, is that getting into here with gloves on, putting in the key, twisting and pulling it out, and then getting a fuel nozzle in here without putting additional pressure on the door is a bit of a chore. It's not my favorite thing about this. The bike itself has had zero issues other than the gas pump recall. There's still plenty of life on the treads. The brakes have been fantastic. There have been some cases where people have been having problems with the ABS. I've not had any myself. The oil changes on it they're easy. You got two different places you can pull oil out of. You can use the drain plug, you can use the filter, which is on the other side. I did adjust the valves on this myself. That was not really easy because there are two valves for intake and exhaust. How I had done that is I had pulled the seat off. You can get the center cover out without taking off the side fairings. The service manual says you got to take everything out. You can slip this out without doing that. And then you've got access to about 3/4 of the head, which is sitting directly behind here. The top two valves are easy. Those are not a problem at all. The bottom two heads, as the engine sits just like this on the stand itself, are very, very difficult because there is a heat shield, which is admittedly plastic, preventing heat from the head getting towards the gas tank. That is in the way, and it's not flexible enough to work around. And while you could remove it, doing so requires a lot more dissection down here. It had been recommended to me that dropping a 2x4 or a 4x4 under the center stand and dropping the rear shocks may allow that engine to articulate upwards and provide better access. I am not to another valve check yet, and I was not going to go in there twice to do it, but I am going to try that next time, as I want to continue doing the maintenance on myself. The only other major issue that I had, and this one really sort of surprised me in terms of how difficult was the air filter. This air box is not end user friendly. And the reason why that is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and possibly a 10th screw to get this cover, which this top fairing blocks. You cannot get a straight screwdriver in there very easily unless it's a short one. In addition, there are 2 bolts to this thing that come from the back side of this bike. So you've got to go up over from the opposite side to get 2 elongated bolts out working over the top wheel, which makes that really, really difficult and time consuming. This is my least favorite airbox ever. Once you get into it, you gotta, taking it off as a part, you gotta get the filter in there, and the filter is such that it's fairly rigid, and then you've got to bolt everything back together. Those 2 interior bolts, I did not put back in. because I'm never, in fact, I think I lost one while I was working back there, because it is so difficult to access without stripping down the fairings to open up access to the bike. I did not care for that at all. Gear oil is fairly easy. Got fill here, drains underneath, no problems there. Oil itself, no problems there. No problems with the electrical. The dealer did the recall for the fuel pump, which this was an affected model. I had not had any problems with fuel leakage prior to the recall. They took care of it anyway. I feel like suspension-wise, I do feel like the suspension has softened since my initial video. Do I still have rough spots? Yes. Is it over everything like I felt it was initially? No. I did not ever go through with adjusting the suspension. I didn't feel like it was going to give me exactly what I was looking for. And I feel like the ride, compared to when it was new, is about 80% better. And the last 20%, quite frankly, I think would be rough on anything that's not significantly more expensive or much more customized or running something that's more readily available as an aftermarket. I still love the headlights. I still love the marker lights. I love the brights. I've had nothing but compliments on it, and quite frankly, this has not been washed since I bought it. Which, criticize if you want, but it still looks good even when it's not at its best. And because of how this bike is designed, washing it is going to be super, super easy. I have ridden this in 105 degree weather. The bike runs fine. I have ridden this in water deep enough that the floorboards are displacing it during storms. The bike does not care. It is going to run. It's going to handle wet, dry, hot. It's not going to slow it down. So in some ways, the covered air box, I think, is doing its job. It's just a pain to service. With regards to something else that I had noted with the tires, specifically tires on blacktop, I had noted that I had really early on in the ride noticed some slippage. That does not seem to be a consistent issue, and I think more than anything that is related to heat, and I think that is related to factors that aren't the tires in and of themselves. The tires grip when it's wet. It might have been that particular surface. As you can see, this is blacktop. This is new blacktop, actually, and I've had no such problems here. I have only ever scraped the underside of this while turning once, and it was a fast, sharp turn up an incline, and it's not been repeated since. So it's got a lot of agility to it that is going to lend itself well. Super easy. You can filter through traffic, which I've done. You can maneuver it over. I have even gone so far as to bump up a median that was grass to get into a riding position that was not accessible to a vehicle, but allowed me to sort of further up traffic, and it handled that fine. I'm not going to go ride it up or down trails. That would be insane, but it did well enough in grass. Just like any bike, I had hit some mud in it. I remained upright. Anything is going to get squirrely on mud or dirt slicks or gravel. That is not a problem with the scooter. So overall, would I recommend it? Yes. Would I recommend it over anything else at this price point? Yes. Do I think that it needs more power? No. Will I take it on highways? No. Will I take it on state roads? Absolutely. I take this on state roads every single day. Right now, my top cruising speed is 62, 63 miles per hour. That has opened up a little bit since I have been riding. It handles itself remarkably well, even at full throttle. I don't feel anything change in the handling. It doesn't shudder, it doesn't shake, it's rock solid. It is fully capable up to 60. It's going to be just about everything across the intersection if you're first in line. It's going to stop as quickly as you need it to, and if it doesn't, the ABS, in my experience, is going to do exactly what it's designed for. It's going to let those wheels roll until they grip, and it's going to brake, and it's going to stop you. It is not going to shorten your stopping time in slick surfaces. That's not its job. It's to keep you upright. And I have activated ABS several times, intentionally and unintentionally, and it has been really, really quite spot on. The joint braking, I know a lot of people don't like it. I don't have any problem with it. I feel like I use the initial braking quite frequently in different levels. I tend to gravitate towards my my right hand brake, and if I need additional braking, I go to right hand. Sorry, I utilize left predominantly and gravitate towards right if I need additional. I feel like there's enough flexibility in sensitivity there that is sufficient. Anyway, that's it.